Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome a very accomplished professional from Atlanta, Georgia, USA, Mr. Cameron Williams. Cameron, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Cameron is the Chief Executive Officer and founder of KynLi Consulting. I hope I have the pronunciation correct of KynLi.
You do.
Okay, wonderful. So, Cameron, before we talk about KynLi, tell me about your own journey in the world of accounting and what inspired you to start KynLi Consulting.
All right. So my own journey, well, first off, thank you for having me again. My own journey started, I would say back in high school. So my grandma actually was an accountant for the city of Atlanta.
Wow.
And then my best friend's parents were both accountants. And so when we go over to his house after school, like after track practice or football, their house had like downstairs in their basement this refrigerator full of Gatorade. So I thought that made him rich. So I'm like, well, apparently I need to be an accountant, right? And I was really good at math. I was taking advanced courses, so there was that. What made us start KynLi was, I guess just I feel like I was in corporate, and then I just kept praying, and one day I feel like that's what I was supposed to do, was to help people with their numbers. So that's what it turned into. And now we've just evolved with the industry over time and with our clients. And now we've transformed from probably most people call it bookkeeping into more of consulting, strategy, and CFO services.
Fantastic. And as they say, the rest is history. So,
Yep, that's right.
So let's talk KynLi now.
Okay.
You work with different agencies, business owners. What, in your view, are some of the specific financial strategies that a lot of business owners tend to overlook?
Okay. A lot of times I think they go for these big, like trying to do all these fancy things without having a firm foundation first. And so a lot of times, like we literally just signed somebody yesterday, and I literally told them, hey, before we get to the fancy tax strategies, before we get to trying to do all these fancy things, let's get the basics done. Let's get your financial setup. Let's build you a system. So that way we know where we're starting from. Then when you start asking us, can I scale? Can I hire? Can I give myself a raise? Can I increase my salary more? And things of that nature. Then we have the data in place to be able to answer that without using emotion. We can just look at the numbers and say, hey, based on this, you can or cannot do ABC.
What a great response. Thank you. And, one of the things that I have often seen with a lot of business owners is that they are blissfully unaware of what happens in their books of account. How do you manage to translate the very complex world of accounting and taxes into practical strategies for business owners?
A few things. So for one, I went to a school with people that didn't look like me. So that helped me to learn how to communicate with not just people who look like me, but some of everybody. I was always pretty smart. And I think more so now, it's just immersing yourself in their world. So in our case, like we go to marketing conferences, we know about their software. We're in marketing masterminds. So it's not just we're here and we think we know. No, we're paying attention and being very deliberate about focusing on the niche. So that way we're able to really and truly help the client. So when they start talking about churn, for example, I know what churn is because I'm going to your conferences. So I know what you're referring to, and I know how to put it in a way to make sure that it makes sense for you. So that we just put the time in to really be devoted to this specific niche, and that's helped us tremendously.
Well said. And what, in your view, is the reason why business owners need to have a very clear understanding of their financial health?
Because without it, I mean, do you really know if we can bring on another team member? Do you really know if you can afford to scale? Do we really know like what you're going to owe for taxes. Do we know if you're profitable or not? We really don't. We're just guessing until we get the foundation in place. Then we can do things. I think we just talked to, was that yesterday? All my days run together at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we were talking to somebody yesterday and they were asking about, well, I want to bring on this person as like a project manager. And I'm like, okay, let's look at the numbers. So
Mm-hmm.
when we start doing the math, I'm like, hey, the math says kind of like on the line. So I would
Mm-hmm.
suggest no. But then they countered and said, well, hey, if I hire them, then that's going to allow me to do more sales,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if I can do more sales, then I make that money back. And then we get the essentially double in capacity.
Mm-hmm.
So things like that are why it's important to know, because he was ready to just pull the trigger. And I'm like, we don't have enough reserve in. So unless you're going to tell me something I don't know,
Right.
like the numbers say, don't do it. So that's
Mm-hmm.
why I think it's super important, because now we're not guessing. We can go to the numbers. I've had a client say the same thing. Hey, we need to give ourselves raises. And I literally told them, don't do it. And they were like, are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very serious,
Mm-hmm.
because, the reserves weren't where they needed to be. The net profit for the size of the company was not big enough. And I just challenged them. I said, hey, if you can pull off this revenue number and do it twice, then I'll change my answer. So they did it 1 month and I was like, do it again and you're good to go. They did it again.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm like, all right, pull the trigger. So it's just super crucial that they know these things so they know where to focus their energy, and know how to continue to grow their business.
Well said. And Cameron, over the last few years, technology has made huge inroads
Yep. Yep.
into the world of accounting and finance. I mean, I remember when I started 40 years ago, we were still manually doing books of account. And now, of course, then computers came in, and now there's a whole lot of new technology. How are you using technology to leverage the work you are doing at KynLi?
I think we're pretty, I'm not gonna say cutting edge, but I think we do pretty well. We have a nice tech stack right now. We have like a secure online portal, because of
Mm-hmm.
course, if you send me your driver's license because we're doing your tax return, you don't
Mm-hmm.
want to send that in email. So we have that. Every client has their own Slack channel so that we can communicate with them directly. Of course, there's email. We use a program called QuickBooks, which is pretty much at this point like the number one software for accounting in the world. And then recently, we've been getting into GHL, Go High Level. So
Mm-hmm.
shout out to those guys at GHL. Just because I kept saying, well, all my clients are using this, so this is probably something I should check out. So we went to the
Mm-hmm.
conference, and we started to understand, okay, this is why they use it, because it can do all these things in one place.
Mm-hmm.
So we're even evolving our systems right now, trying to get them into GHL to better utilize its efficiencies, but to just try to serve the client at a better level, faster response time, more efficient, everything in one place. I don't have to, go to 8 or 10 different softwares. I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to only get it down to 2 or 3, and it's right here.
Mm-hmm. Well said. The other aspect is the taxes, and there is a big difference between tax planning and tax evasion. You do a lot of tax planning.
That's
How,
correct.
what support do you give to businesses to be able to not only save taxes but also grow their income?
That's a fabulous question. So a lot of people ask, like, how do you do both?
Mm-hmm.
And I think the strategy side is how we grow it. How
Mm-hmm.
do we cut the taxes? Well, by using those strategies, that's
Mm-hmm.
also going to cut. So, for example, an easy one would be like, maybe it's time to switch your entity from an LLC to being taxed as an S corp. Well, just doing that move, is going to make you, let me not say more income. Let me say it this way. By switching to an S corp, by default, you're going to slash your tax owed.
Mm-hmm.
The question that we worry about is what's going to save you the most cash. Those are two different things. So
Right.
that's one example. In regards to growing your income, that's more like we talked about at the beginning, where we're talking about consulting. Okay, there was a client we talked to last week, and she was saying, well, I want to do webinars to get more people in the door, but I don't know which package to pick. Well,
Mm-hmm.
that's a perfect example where we started to run down her 4 packages. And she's
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm going to sell the 5K one. which is great on the surface. But I'm like, based on the numbers you gave me, that's not the most profitable. On the surface, everybody's going to say, sell something for 5K, do it. But the time it would have taken her to fulfill that makes that it's the flashy one, but it's not the most profitable one. Whereas the $1,000 package, she's like, oh, I love this package. It's so easy to do. It barely takes me any time to fulfill. And that was the one that we suggested because when we started to run the numbers, she can take more clients at the $1,000 level than she could at the 5,000. So I use those as separate examples just to show strategy is always going to make you more. The tax planning and the tax deductions and those things is there to try to get it to where we made as much money as we can. Now, how do we move it into different areas so that we can pay the least amount of taxes on it?
Well said. Cameron, you also emphasize empowering business owners to take control of their money.
That's right.
Tell me, what does this empowerment process look like?
Well, so we say, and I don't know where we got this from. Well, yes, I do. I remember we took a course, and they told us we need to come up with something in like probably in threes. And so I just remember praying about it one day, and it came to me. We manage, we educate, we collaborate, and that we educate piece is that part, because a lot of times when people come to us, let's say we're talking about the tax returns, they're like, never heard this before. My accountant has never broke this down for me. I never even understood why this works like that. And so I think for us, putting such a big emphasis on education has really helped us, like with client retention, with our brand positioning, because I tell people sometimes, like, the accounting industry is just fundamentally broken. We kind of operate from like this 90s business model of like, thank you so much. We build you because we worked X amount of hours. You have to lead with value, because these are the things that are going to help client retention, that are going to help your brand image stay up there, that's going to get that next referral. So I think it's just super important to continue to always give back and then empower. Who doesn't want to know about their money? I may not be a numbers guy, but I can understand money I make minus money I spend is going to equal a number that's going to get taxed. So just being able to break it down with simple to communicate words, or using their marketing terminology, all of those things have just helped us to continue to grow. And I think it empowers the business owner, because they know, like, Cameron's not trying to get over on me. You know, I'm paying him a premium, but Cameron's available. His team is available. He's willing to jump on a call. He's willing to put this in the quick 5-minute video to give me the visual to show me that it makes sense. So I think our clients just feel that personable quality, and that's kind of what helps them to stay on.
Very interesting. My next question is about, this is also the age of a lot of startups. A lot of people want to start up their own businesses. And I'm sure you work with many of them. Based on your experience, what are some early financial mistakes startup entrepreneurs make? And how can they avoid them?
Early mistakes. One of them is, we call the fancy accounting word is co-mingle, aka it's using your bank account for business and personal. That's a super easy one to avoid, because at least here in the US, you can literally go open another checking account for free. So I always tell people, like, at the very beginning, just go ahead and just open 2 other bank accounts and just use those only. I'm not saying that every so often, it may be a mistake or you have to use it for something big or out of the norm. But 9 times out of 10, we want you to try to keep all business separate, all your personal separate. So that way, you run it like a business. Coca-Cola is not paying for all the executive stuff with their business card, So we want you to get in the habit of that. That's an easy one. Another mistake would be taxes. Like, most of the time, most people don't make the money. Like, we've had people in year 2 making 120 grand. They've never made that much money before. Right. So by default, they never paid as much in taxes. So that's one that is usually catches people just off guard. Another one we see they just don't understand the importance of having the right people. They think they have to do every single thing. And don't get me wrong, that first maybe 6 months, you may have to.
Right.
But after a while, you have to start flipping that mindset so that, hey, I'm not the best with numbers. Therefore, I need to go find a bookkeeper. And after a while, hey, this bookkeeper is not going to cut it. They just got my foundation. Now I need to upgrade to somebody that's like a fractional CFO to give me the strategy. So I think doing things in the right seasons is super important. Don't come out the gate trying to have a $3,000 tech stack unless you were like, gifted a bunch of money.
Yeah.
Or like, maybe you're in a partnership and the partner has a ton of capital. That's one thing. But in general, take things one step at a time. I think they get stressed. I know I was, because it's so much to learn, right? Like, we're not taught this is how you run a business in school.
Yeah.
Why would they teach us that? So having to learn, like in my case, it's not just accounting I have to be great with. I have to be an HR person. I have to be a tech person. I have to be in operations. I have to build systems. I have to be a marketing person. I got to be in sales now. You have to wear so many hats, and it can get very overwhelming. So I always tell people, like, find you a community, get a mentor or two or three that's ahead of you, so that some of these speed bumps you can just go ahead and skip. Get you a community so that way, you guys can talk through different things and problems that you're going through and be there to support each other. Just like if you were in an office at corporate, y'all all be in the same cubicle block and you could just walk over to your manager. Well, you have to make things different and conducive for your growth. So go find some people that are doing the same thing. So that way you realize that you're not in it alone. So those are some of the things that we kind of see when they're starting in that first year or two that are probably the most common. Well, and not paying yourself.
Great response. Thank you. My next question is that, again, when I was preparing for this conversation, I've read that you help businesses live the life they want. Help me understand what this means and the role money has to play in it.
That is a fabulous. You did your research. That's awesome. All right. So what does that mean? We call it living your dream life. Like, think about it like this, right? When you start your business, you're not doing it because like, oh, this is cool, or I saw this on social media. There's probably either you're doing it out of necessity or you saw some type of need that you felt like you could do it better. And nope, I don't know anybody that's like, man, I just want to work 12-hour days all my life. No, you did it because there was some type of end goal. I want to spend more time with my family. I feel like we could serve clients better. I want to be able to travel when I want. I want to be able to not miss out on family moments. That's your dream life. And our job when we come in is to help you get there by taking the numbers aspect out of the equation. Our biggest client actually right now told us that they were saying, hey, ever since we started working with you, we've just been able to let that go and take that off our plate. And it's helped us to focus on sales and growing our team and addressing these different inefficiencies. And now they're already making $10,000 to $20,000 more per month because I don't have to stress about, oh man, did I pay so-and-so? Oh man, are the numbers right? Do we have the right price? Because we can just call you or we can just jump on a call. So that's how we help you live your dream life, by giving you these strategies. You don't have to be like, oh man, what am I going to pay for taxes?
Correct.
I'm already telling you that every month with projections. So we don't have to be scared to make these moves. We don't have to let money kind of hang over our head. No, this is what's going on. Let's put a plan in place to fix it. Maybe we need to have more sales.
Right.
Maybe we need to have more calls. Maybe we need to build out systems and SOPs because you said your goal is to hire somebody in Q1 of 2024. Well, that removes a lot of stress because now I have a plan, I have a guide, and I have somebody that has my back and that's looking out for the best interest of me, that knows my industry and knows other people like me and can help me to get there. So that's how we help people to live their dream life.
Great response. I have time for two more questions for you. My next question is that, again, while reading, You said that you have a goal to impact 300 marketing agencies by 2030.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the milestones you have set to achieve this?
I think the biggest one is to just get out there more, to speak more, to give more, to serve more, to give more value.
Mm.
Because again, we're finding people now that are doing great. Like the person we just signed yesterday, he's already doing great. We just want to come and augment what he's doing.
Right.
And there are other clients that we've had where they're like, I just want to be able to put food on the table, or
Mm.
just these different things. And we know now, we've been doing this for 5.5 years. We know that what we provide brings a ton of value to the table.
Mm.
So we just want to find more people to help them to live that dream life. Like,
Right.
what if you're already making 30 grand? You
Mm-hmm.
just don't know how to handle it. Well, if we come in, that stress is gone. And now you can get to that 45, 50 grand or higher because, hey, I have somebody that's walking with me on purpose here to make sure financially I'm doing the best I can do. So I think that answers your
Yeah,
question.
yeah, absolutely. And my last question to you, and this is for the many, many people who will listen to our conversation.
Mm-hmm.
If there is one piece of financial wisdom you would
Mm.
like to share with a lot of business owners listening to us, what would it be?
Ooh, I'm gonna say that strategy is always important.
Hmm.
Without a strategy, you'll just do some of everything. So we don't want you to be that person. Like my wife used to tell me at the very beginning, she's like, Cameron, you just an engine, you just 100 miles an hour, but I don't want you to be on the treadmill because technically you're not going anywhere. If you're
Hmm.
gonna go 100 miles an hour, like get outside and run with that same energy so you're actually making progress. And I've just found every single year strategy is so important because if not, you're doing 17 different things and then you wonder why you're not as successful or efficient or making as much progress as you could.
Hmm.
Well, we don't have a cohesive strategy to tie it
Yeah.
all together. All your different organizations, the marketing department is going this way, sales and HR, and everything's going in all these different directions when we need a cohesive strategy to
Hmm.
pull it all together. So now we're not wasting steps. It's no wasted motion. We're all going in the same direction. So
Hmm.
I would just suggest spend time with your strategy and focus on it. Like we literally close down the last 2 weeks of every year and that first week of the new year to do nothing but let's update systems. Let's update our tech.
Hmm.
Let's look at our strategies. Like, can we be more efficient? What
Hmm.
are our clients telling us? What kind of feedback have we gotten that we can improve on? Can we update packages?
Hmm.
That's things strategically that help us with clients. And then for the firm, like, what do we want to do next year? Like,
Hmm.
what are our goals? What platforms are we trying to reach? What kind
Hmm.
of client are we now trying to approach? What is a different way we can serve? So spend the time every year, every month, every quarter, every week to identify what is the strategy that's going to drive your business.
Hmm.
And I think you'll skip a lot of frivolous, time wasting activities.
Hmm. Well said. And on that note, Cameron, and your amazing advice of how critical strategy is in virtually everything. I think the message you've given to all of us is strategy is really the cornerstone of building and bringing together any business that is being run. Thank you so
Mm-hmm.
much for speaking to me about your journey. Thank you for talking to me at such length about KynLi Consulting and all the great work that you are doing, supporting so many professionals, entrepreneurs, and business owners manage their taxes better and living the life they want. Thank you for speaking to me and good luck.
All right, man. Thank you so much for having me. This was fun. We got to do it again.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the brand called You Videocast and Podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the brand called you.